All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning into the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to talk about today is basically for men. And what I want to call it is men, stop chasing women that are not interested in you. So if you know anything about me, I teach a Mastering Self-Confidence program. It's to help men find the woman or women of their dreams, even if they've been through a bad breakup or divorce. And one of the things I really get into is learning how to build friendships with women first. Kind of, I guess you could say, throwing them into the friend zone a little bit, figuring out who they are, what they're about before actually even dating them or getting involved with them. It's kind of much different than a pickup artist who's more on the fast track. I'm actually on the opposite end of that, very slow paced. And I'm all about trying to put men, for one, actually teaching men to figure out who they are, become self-aware of what they truly want, and putting themselves at the right place at the right time to find the right woman or women. But being honest about what they're interested in at this point in time regarding what type of woman they're interested in is what I should say. It could be somebody who's very business-orientated, somebody who's in the fitness. It could be, I don't care if it's a stripper. I don't care what it is you're interested in. It's about putting yourself, again, around those type of women and not settling for anything less. But I see, sorry about that, I see more than anything is men a lot of times chasing women, and I call it death spirit because they become desperate, but they're chasing somebody who truly is not interested in them. You see it in movies all the time where the guy, and it could be the girl too, but a lot of times you see the guy's interested in the girl dates all these other guys, never pays attention to them, he's waiting around for her, blah, 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 and then at the end, a lot of times it either works out, they end up together, or he falls in love with another girl, realizing the whole time he shouldn't have been chasing the other one the whole time. The one he really should have been with was there all along. The whole story. But I'm going to get into something different here. I think men have to realize, for one, and I've discussed this before, is there's like 3.5 billion women out there. And, for someone to get caught up chasing, now I get sometimes we become, I call it a spell, where you meet a woman or a girl and they give you attention and you're friends with them and you may fall in love with them and they're not in love with you and that's the only one you want at that point in time. That's really who you're interested in. Now, I'm not telling you to give up on that necessarily, never to do that. But what I would tell you to do is if she's throwing you into the friend zone, I definitely wouldn't be the victim where she knows I'm sitting around possibly waiting for her or I'm the one who has a crush on her. If you want, you can tell her that, but I would throw her into the friend zone the same way she's throwing me into the friend zone. And if things work out, they work out. But it's more than that. I just think sometimes guys want to be a victim in relationships or trying to find women. They almost want to stall out. And they may meet somebody and it may, they're sitting around waiting for this certain someone and they don't know how to move on or they don't know how to meet other women. They're just kind of stuck in this one situation where they keep either waiting for this girl to come to them or come to her senses, supposedly, even while she may be dating other people or she's just not into you. You have to realize that you sitting around waiting for anyone, I think, for the most part, is a loser move. And I always say, if you're chasing her, look over your shoulder a lot of time. Who's chasing you? Now, if there is someone chasing you that is interested in you, you may or may not be interested in them, obviously, but you may want to pay more attention to the people that are interested in you than the one that isn't. Okay? That's just the fact. Also, you need to learn to move on from her. And I don't think a lot of guys know how to do this, especially when they're younger. And I don't want to say they're nerdier or introverted or any of that, because I don't care who you are. When sometimes a guy likes a certain girl, right? That's the only one they're interested in. It's hard to like someone else. It is, because all you kind of think about is this specific person. And then you start maybe meeting other girls, or if it's a girl meeting guys, whatever. And you kind of start judging everybody or kind of critiquing them and judging them against who the other one is that you're more interested in, which isn't fair to the one, to the other ones. Now, if you do want to wait around, I don't want to come off like an asshole. If there's somebody you're truly interested in, and there may be a possibility or whatever, but if you're going to sit around and wait months and months and months, maybe even years for someone to come around, I think you're a little screwed up. I think you need to honestly move on. Now, there's a lot of different ways we could get into this where you can kind of, go maybe date her friend or get involved and kind of pull a scam and see if she really gets jealous or all that stupid shit, which I think is all nonsense. I think with men, I can't speak for women, if you're interested in somebody that is not interested in you anymore, even if they're still a friend, you have to put them in the friend zone and you need to move on to other women. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to immediately start dating all these different type of women or trying to find a woman exactly like the one you're interested in now. That just means you have to break out of the spell. And I know that may be easy for me to say, but it's just the truth. If you do not break out of this spell, a lot of times all that's going to lead to is more misery and more depression that I've seen over the years. When you get caught up with somebody who they're living the life that they want to lead and you're not living it with them, what do you think what's happening to you? It's doing nothing but, for the most part, just depressing you and aggravating you. I think it builds up a lot of stress. And again, you have to realize there are a lot of other women out there. Just like for women, there's tons of other guys out there, right? You may think, I found my soulmate. Well, the reality is you may not be her soulmate. You understand that? And vice versa. But a lot of people just get stuck in these ruts with people and they can't escape them. And you see this too even in divorces sometimes, where people get a divorce, one wanted out, the other one necessarily didn't, and they get a divorce and they're still either waiting for that person to come back to come back into the relationship or come back to them, or maybe figuring it out later. Maybe it'll take some time, a year or two, whatever the case may be. You've got to move on. Life is about evolving and moving on. The more sometimes you sit around and wait for somebody, I really believe a lot of times the more you're deteriorating. It's actually weakening you. It's not strengthening you. It's also to a certain degree, it may become embarrassing, which if you're not embarrassed, that's fine. But if you like someone and, they know you like them, it's kind of cute. But if they keep dating other people and you are not interested in you like that, and people know this, I don't want to sit here and throw digs at people in that situation, but it does become kind of embarrassing. It's also, you have to realize too, if you like somebody that doesn't like you in that way, that's a lot of pressure on that person. Now at the beginning it may be like, hey, I'd like to date you and go out with you, and they may have gone out with you and they just don't like you or they're not into you, or they just may be like, I'm sorry, I'm not, but I'd like to be friends. And I discussed this in my program. That's wonderful. Because the truth is, if you have an attractive girl or someone you're attracted to, most likely, and I talk about it all the time, they have friends that are usually similar to them. They could be, they could be in the same circles as them. They can also have family members like them. They can also introduce you to people that you don't, all these different things. You have an opportunity to maybe meet somebody through this person. And that's what I think the component that most men miss is they like somebody, that person doesn't like them, and then they're aggravated. And they immediately get, huffy puffy or pissed off. And they cancel this person out, or again, they sit around and wait forever, and this person goes on to end up, in a relationship, marrying somebody else and having kids, and you're sitting there after waiting around for a certain amount of time like an asshole. Now what do? You should have moved on a long time ago. And sometimes people wait just too long. And when it goes too far and too long, then all of a sudden it's just depressing. So again, learn to move on. is basically what I'm telling you to do. And do not chase women, especially the ones that are not interested in you. Now, if you are chasing other women that you are going, I don't even like necessarily, I don't think anybody should chase anyone. There's a famous picture that I kind of like. It's a guy drinking, and it goes, chase women, I don't even chase my liquor. And that's kind of, the more you're chasing somebody, I believe, the more they're running away. That's exactly what it is. It's a chase. And I get, and I talk about this, men are hunters. And I don't even mean going out and killing. I mean, they just go out on the prowl. They're looking for certain things. That's how their mindset is. That's how they go out and look for women, or they could go out and look for anything. That's kind of a mindset with them. And I'm going to tell you something, when it comes to finding women or the right woman, you have got to be able to maneuver. And the more you meet, the better off you're going to be. You getting stuck on one is, I call it a paralyzing position, because what happens is you wrap yourself into something with one person, and the problem is that other person doesn't want you. So now you are almost getting, one is she doesn't want you, which is very depressing, and two is you don't know how to move on from there. So that's the other aspect of this, which again paralyzes you. You don't know where to go. You again have to break out of the spell and start to just move forward. And I know I said that earlier, but people just, it's very hard to do, and I get it. But if you don't do that, you're going to hurt your self-esteem, and you can hurt your future waiting around for somebody, because there's somebody probably out there that really digs you or would love being with you, that is probably just as good as this person, maybe as smart, as beautiful, as loving. You're just not giving anybody else that opportunity. You're waiting for someone that doesn't want you, and then you're pushing everybody else that may be interested in you. It's almost like a magnet scenario. When you bring two magnets together, everything is just reflecting off you in a negative way. So that's how I always thought about that. And that's how you should kind of be. You should actually be on the other end of it, not where the two magnets reflect off each other, where you're a magnet, where it's attracting, other people into your life. And you're thinking clearly and not being so obsessed with one person or one thing or one relationship. Especially, like I said earlier, if you were with somebody in a relationship and then it broke off and you're hurt. Because the truth is, usually, not always, when a relationship ends, one person is hurt more than the other. Usually. Some people are very relieved to get rid of each other, but for the most part, one is usually happier to leave and start a new life without you, and the other one could be hurt, right? But you have to understand, you will heal in time, because that's just life. It's like a wound a lot of times. Like if you get injured physically or anything else, it takes time to heal. But do not, men, get obsessed with being, again, if you go back to the movie like Pretty in Pink, where Ducky, or whatever the hell his name was, he's obsessed with a girl. She knew he was obsessed. That stuff works in the movies. But in real life, respect yourself more. If somebody doesn't want you, there's a reason, and that's okay. Because I could assure you, there's maybe women out there that may like you, and you don't like them, and they'll never be, you'll most likely never be with this person, and they may put you in a position where they're waiting for you. That's something you have to think about. Now, it's the same situation, is what I should say. So just something to think about. So if you want to learn more about that crazy shit, go to my masteringselfconfidence.com program. I also put information regarding this on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, I'm on richcelenza.com, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But please, guys, don't sit on your ass waiting for somebody who don't dig you. Please, for the love of God. All right? I'm going to wrap it up there. Take care and safe travels.